Welcome to the Friends of Delray, a diverse group of Delray Beach residents coming together to build a positive city environment which is open and transparent. Our goal is to inform, share, and unite. Learn about what's happening in our village by the sea, from our pristine beaches to the corridors of City Hall. I'm Judy Malika, moderator for Friends of Delray podcast. I have with me today Christina Morrison, and we'll be speaking about the 2024 Delray Beach municipal election. And specifically, I wanted to speak about seat 3. Thank you very much for being here, Christina.
Thank you.
So in seat 3, the very first person to sign up to run was Christina Morrison. You did that on the 13th of June. Mm-hmm. And then Nicholas Coppola on 6/14, he filed, and Inez Barthelemy also on that date. Mm-hmm. And then just last month, at the end of the month, Julie Casal got filed on 10/27, 2023. And nothing wrong with that. Anybody can file at any time. But it seems like when I'm not an analyst, but as I started looking in some of the past elections, it seemed like that's a strategy for some people to look at a 4-person race, then jump in where the vote is going to get split, and then somebody that maybe wouldn't have the popular vote ends up prevailing because of that split vote. I saw that in 2015 when you ran before.
Right.
And then in 2020, which is when Julie Casal did get elected city commission, there was Bill Bathurst, Julie Casal, Jennifer Jones, and Deborah Tendrick, and that 4-person split allowed her to prevail by maybe 100 votes over Bill Bathurst.
Yep, not
and
much.
100 votes is 100 votes, but still it's that split vote that sort of allows that. And again, it's all fair, but another strategy I saw sort of repeat itself, and that is the development scare tactic. And this is some of the postcards. I love collecting these because they're so fun. This was a postcard that Mayor Petrolia did against her opponent the first time she ran for mayor, where it shows them in a big bulldozer, right, showing pro-development. This was Julie Casal's opponent when it was Bill Bathurst. It shows them in a monopoly board, all that development money. So it's scaring people like these people are pro-development. And then the last election, when Julie was running against Rob Long, these postcards came out where it says Fort Lauderdale Ray, and then here shows like gold with developer money. So I think this split vote and this development money scare thing is kind of a tactic that I see. And again, I'm not an analyst, but it just seems like it keeps happening and happening. And what do you have to say about the seat 3 election and how that's coming along?
Well, seat 3 has 4 people in it right now. And that's a lot. And
because of the same reason I just said,
yes,
right? Yeah.
As you look at those stats, races are won and lost by 100 votes when there's more than 2 people in the race.
That's right.
As you know, Julie got in by around 100 votes. That's not much. That's not much.
And it's because of those splits.
Yes.
Right.
And if one of those other candidates that had only got a few hundred votes had not been in that race, then Bill Bathurst would have had a much better chance of winning. So I have the same fear for the seat 3 race this year.
I do. I do as well.
We have 4 people in the race, and one of them is a destroyer. One of them is one of the ones that terminated the old school square contract with no cause,
no agenda item,
no agenda, no plan for action. And that debacle so far has cost the city, estimated to be about $8 million.
And by city, you mean me, the
yes,
taxpayer.
The taxpayers.
We're paying for it.
And that was all money that used to be, well, not most of it, at least 75% of it was raised by a nonprofit. And when you have a nonprofit in place, they can take money from benefactors that pay for things so taxpayers don't have to pay for them.
Right, and grant writing and that sort of thing.
Yes, exactly.
So right now it's fully funded by taxpayers.
Right now it is, and that's very sad because it was very, very successful for over 30 years with a nonprofit at the helm. So that's very disappointing, and we can't let stuff like that happen. The other thing is the CRA has no resident involvement now. That also, in my opinion, is very bad. They control a lot of money. They control the whole downtown and swaths of Federal and swaths of the Southwest neighborhoods. And to not have any resident involvement in that type of situation, to me, is not acceptable. And that was done by the destroyers when the destroyers were in office. The last thing that happened was that we stood a good chance of selling off part of our municipal golf course.
Yeah.
Judy Casale put a motion up to sell part of the golf course. We need the golf course. We need open space.
Right.
We're a growing city, and we need to have open space, and we need to have a golf course. So that also was very scary. To have somebody like that, to even have the chance of them getting back in office, is what scares me. So I really can't let that happen. So over the weekend, I took a good hard look at our race. Not only do I stand a good chance to lose, but we stand a good chance of that destroyer getting back into office.
It's a numbers game.
It is.
It's a numbers game.
It can go any way, and with 4 of us in the race, it's even worse.
Yeah.
So I've taken the tactical decision to step back, to come out of the commission race and continue my work as an activist for our city. I think that I can do better work not having to worry about the constraints of a city commission seat and continue on with my efforts to never let a situation like Old School Square happen again. I'll be making recommendations to the city to put stopgap methods in place so that something like that can happen again, whether it be a supermajority vote to terminate a long-term lease like that, whether it be they have to have a notice to cure and a cure period given.
Love that idea.
Yeah.
All of those ideas
Absolutely.
are good. And they were already there. They just weren't.
They weren't implemented because they went around. They went around
Wow.
it by not declaring costs. So there's ways to prevent things like this, and you need activists in the city to propose things like that and get them rolling.
I like it.
The other thing is I'm going to be actively working to keep our golf course in place, to bring in an operator to run the golf course, to make the needed changes to the golf course. It needs to be upgraded. It's really been neglected.
Yeah.
Because the destroyers have had this thing in place for the last 10 years that they were more interested in reducing the millage than maintaining our property.
Right.
And that's not right. We need to maintain and bring the golf
If we
course
own
up.
it, we should maintain it, whatever it is,
Absolutely.
right?
Whether it be a building like the firehouse that just had to be torn down, a firehouse built in the 70s had to be torn down because it was so mold infested. It was awful. It had to be torn down.
Right.
It wasn't maintained.
Right.
We need to maintain our properties. We need to maintain our golf course. So I'll be on that bandwagon.
Well, I see
I'm
you
already
at
on
every
that.
city commission meeting saying something,
Yeah.
letting your voice be heard.
You have to.
And we all have to do that.
You have to be an activist and I love this city. I wouldn't be stepping back from my dream if I didn't love this city.
That is like, I find it to be sort of a heroic sacrifice, even though I know you don't think of yourself,
No.
but I do think of you as that. And it's obviously because you love Delray.
I do. And I look at Delray as anything I take on. I've owned a business in Delray Beach for 20 years. I'm a commercial realtor. I take on a project. I have to look at the tactical decisions, the strategy to make that successful. And if I don't see a clear path to victory after all my strategy is put in place or while I'm putting my strategies in place, then I don't take on the project. I have to have a clear path to victory. In this case, it was the same tactical decision. I had to look at it, had to see a clear path to victory, and I no longer see that since Julie jumped in. I just can't, and I can't take the chance
Well, I
of
know
her
you're a
getting back in
fighter,
office.
and I
You bet.
think you probably had a good chance of doing very, very well, but you didn't want to risk what you called the destroyers,
Yes,
right?
I can't. I can't. And I just have to talk about this development stuff.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Let's be real. Our city will never be Fort Lauderdale, just so you realize.
Obviously, we have height
We
limitations in
have
place
limitations
that
in
have
place.
never been, right.
And they will never go anywhere. The last high-rise to be built in Delray Beach, I think, was back in 1970.
Okay.
One of the Seagates.
Okay.
And quickly after that, the city fathers said, "Oh, we don't want that.
Right,
We don't want
right.
to be high. We want to be the village by the sea." And we are, whether people think we're overdeveloped now, we are still the village by the sea. We're a very instrumental small town. Everybody knows everybody. It's very congenial. It's a great city. We have a great city. And we'll never be Fort Lauderdale. We don't allow high-rise. We don't allow density.
Land development, the LDRs, land development regulation, which you know more about, on density, is never really there's no variances on that. There's variances on this or that, but those two things are pretty set in stone.
Well, the
They
height
may
is set in
differ.
stone.
Right, they may differ from location to location,
Right.
but that's set in stone.
Right.
So people are fearful that we're going to suddenly, put, I don't know, what's South Beach? Right.
Yeah, well, that's
Can't
not going to
happen.
happen. That's not going to happen. We do sometimes give away density if we
Okay.
get workforce housing.
I see.
But we never go above certain stories downtown. There is height allowed on Congress.
On Congress, right.
And I really think that's the great place for it because we have the train station out there, the Tri-Rail. It should be a live-work atmosphere out there with emphasis on living. We need places for people to live in
Right,
our city.
right.
And so the height out there is a bit higher than it is the rest of the city, but downtown is set. There's no way that high-rise buildings
Right.
are going to get in downtown. And this is just fluff. This is
It's
just
fear.
lies.
It's fear.
It is.
And it's usually, lies against
lies.
whatever, because they took money from that developer or whatever they call people. And some of these people that are developers are like Chuck Halberg.
Yeah,
He's
not a developer.
I know,
He's
he's
a
a
great
builder,
guy. I
but he
know.
also, most of these guys are super, and women are
Right.
super invested in the city.
They are.
Right? They're on
Nobody's more
boards, they're on
giving than Chuck
not-for-profit.
Halberg.
I
Yeah.
know, right?
It's
Yeah.
true. And development isn't always bad.
Right.
We need housing. We need to have a vibrant downtown. Downtown wouldn't survive with just Atlantic Avenue being bars, restaurants, and a few boutiques. We need to have people that can live and walk to those and really patronize those businesses on an ongoing basis. To come every month on a Saturday night doesn't cut it for a city like ours.
Right.
We need people that are devoted to spending their money here. They walk and they shop and they live here.
Right,
So
right.
some development's not bad, and to make our downtown more livable is a good thing.
Right.
Our downtown needs that. So there are some things that, and there was one. I just want to clear up any more misconceptions about development. There's one development in town that has 90 units to the acre.
Okay.
And most people don't even see it. It was done so well, and that's Worthing Place.
Okay.
Worthing Place is right off Atlantic, half a block off Atlantic. It sits behind a park. You don't even know it's there. The traffic goes out the side street to a back street, doesn't usually come onto Atlantic. And it's working beautifully. It's one of the beautiful places to live in downtown Delray where you can rent, you don't have to buy.
Okay.
And it
Didn't
works.
Worthing Place start a controversy in its
It
day?
was, for
such
7
that there was a
years.
visioning process after
Yes.
that? That's what we need, visioning process, more people input
Right.
and less fear,
The-
right?
Yeah, the vision of destroying long-term relationships in our city is not the proper vision.
That is not the vision.
It's
We're
not. We
no.
don't want that vision. We want a vision for a successful city, to stay this village by the sea, to stay functioning, sustainable, so our children will have a nice place to live in the future, so that our children will have decent paying jobs to come back to
Right.
if they choose to go to college. Or if they don't choose to go to college, that they have avenues to work at to gain success without a college degree. And we have that, and we're getting it more every day. So to say development is all awful, that's just part of the lies that people tell you when they want you to vote for them.
Right, right. Well, I love that you are Christina for Delray.
And I'll always be Christina
now
for
and will
Delray.
always be Christina for Delray.
Yes.
And I thank you so much for being here, and I
Thank you.
thank you for all you do for
Oh,
our
thank
city.
you. You too, Judy. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I'm Judy Malika for Friends of Delray. Please let your voices be heard, get engaged, talk with neighbors, and attend city meetings. And please watch for our next podcast or video. We believe that Delray is at its best when we're stronger together. Thank you for joining Friends of Delray, addressing the relevant issues facing our community. Follow us on Facebook and YouTube, and please sign up for our newsletter at our website, friendsofdelray.us. We believe Delray is at its best when we work together.